3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, good morning, afternoon, evening. I'm Christos Pacharakis, Senior Code Contributor Program Manager for the Community Relations team, and welcome to this Community Relations team group conversation. Thanks all for joining. We'll begin with Melissa. I don't know if you're in the call. Do you want to verbalize your question?
Yes. Hello. I was just interested in learning more about the Heroes Community Day today and what the overall goal of that event was or is.
Thank you. Unfortunately, John is not here because it's happening right at the same time. So I can quickly verbalize the answer for everyone on the stream. The Hero Summit is happening during now, so we cannot be there. So we planned and designed the Hero Summit as a way to provide a space for heroes to develop relationships with other heroes, share best practices, and learn from each other. They formed a committee of heroes who have met weekly this month and bi-weekly in November and December. This group helped create the CFP for lightning talks, coordinate the heroes panel that will kick off the networking session, and communicate with other heroes to encourage participation. The day will be broken in 3 main blocks: presentations on different elements of the program, contributing to committees, heroes one-on-one, presentation skills, and organizing meetups; lightning talks, highlighting the work of our heroes; and networking via group discussions and one-to-one chats. The team has elected to use hopping as a change of pace from the Zoom events. Many folks have grown, and because of the networking features the hopping platforms offer. Our goal is for the heroes to feel inspired to continue making contributions to the community and live with stronger bonds between each other. The next one is from Achilleas. Achillea, I don't know if you're on the call. I can quickly verbalize. How are you doing with the GitLab forum, Greg?
Yeah, thanks. So I am support counterpart for community relations, and I actually got my start in the GitLab community forum. So the forum is something that's very close to my heart. This year I was lucky enough to be an administrator in the forum. So I have access to all sorts of analytics data, and I did a deep dive into it. I tried to summarize in slide 8 here, but essentially the community forum has been growing at an incredible rate. We have 40% increase in activity, 35% increase in new user signups this year as compared to last year. One thing I'm really excited about is half of the accepted solutions in the forum are from 2020. And accepted solutions, if you're not familiar with them, it's very similar to like the top voted answer on Stack Overflow. You open up a thread with an accepted solution, and the accepted solution is front and center. That's what you'll see and get linked to. Daily engaged users and signed in user visits are at an all-time high. We have 40% increase over last year with that. Forum pages actually have the highest average time on page, which indicates people who visit the forum actually take the time to read the content instead of just skimming the content, closing the tab. And the forum is actually proving to be a valuable resource for Docs First community support. I found this year we had nearly 600,000 forum visitors who went to the forum, open a topic that contains a link to our documentation. They click that documentation link, navigate away from the forum, and that documentation is the last thing they see before they exit GitLab web pages. And this could actually indicate ticket deflection. Somebody went out, they sought an answer, and they found the answer themselves, and still having documentation as the single source of truth. So I could go on for a long time. If anybody has specific questions or wants to hear more, I'm happy to continue.
Thank you, Greg. Mac, are you on this call?
Hi, Christos. Thank you. A very warm welcome to GitLab. I really like that you put the collaboration in, and great to see collaboration on RAW because it's directly related to our 3-year long-term strategy. I wanted to ask, what's the next milestone you would like to track post auditing the funnel, and what's important to the community relations team?
Thank you, and thanks everyone for the warm welcome. Yes, we're wrapping up the audit of the code contributor funnel later this month, and then we'd like to use this information to synthesize on some recommendations around, how the community can contribute to the MRAR metric and how we can think of that. And for us in the community, and just to build on that, we also want to make a more detailed timeline, and we want to commit on both sides, both teams, to commit on a more detailed timeline down the future. Something else which is important for the community relations team is that we want to be able to have showcase how the community is contributing to GitLab, through this metric that has been established last year. And also identify any potential overlap or opportunities between customers that have been contributing to GitLab and community, and whether we can apply some of these recommendations to our customers as well. That is going to help us, increase the MRAR metric for that.
Thanks for the context there. And a follow-up question is that do we know what the average merge times for contributions are currently?
Thank you. I don't have that right now, the specific number. I have to calculate it. It's going to be part of the report of the audit, but I put a link of the dashboard, the Bitterness Analytics dashboard that we have there, where you can see an average merge time on community contributions per project. Generally, we're trying to push the use of Bitterness Analytics as well as a way where we can showcase openly to everyone the contributions of our communities, hackathon specifically, but also regular contributions, and because also Bitterness is available to everyone outside GitLab as well.
Thanks for that. Yeah, for context, our team is focused on lowering the duration for everyone, but we would love to hear what your input is on the hotspots from a community contribution point of view. So I look forward to digest the information with you on that.
Yes, we've been seeing a lot of different times, triaging and merge times across different teams. So, trying to unify them or come up with best practice for that, it's something that is top in our priority list for now. Thanks. Moving forward, it's a question that I have, which is about, I recently joined, so I don't have all the information. So I would like to know more about the community efficiency project that the team has been working on. You can take this question.
Sure, I can start and then hand it over to Nuritzi and Lindsay, who are also working on it as well. So the Community Efficiency Project is an effort to automate the work that the community advocates were doing in regards to the community program applications. So we have 3 programs at GitLab for Education, GitLab for Open Source, and GitLab for Startups. And currently the entire application through licensing is a manual process. So we've hired a part-time or full-time but short-term contractor to help work the application queue while we adopt an automated solution called Sheer ID, which will do some verification on the applicants. And then they will be issued a coupon code, and that coupon code can be used in our customer portal to obtain the license and to skip that whole manual process. So there's really kind of 3 parts to it. The current work of the contractor, and then the automated solution, and then the third part is the work being done by our fulfillment team to be able to accept an automated solution. And I'll stop there and see if there's any other comments.
Yeah. Sure. I just want to add, so in case you all don't totally understand what that means, if you've ever tried to sign up for something like Apple with a student discount or a faculty discount, this Sheer ID is what many of the many companies use to verify, especially in the education space. So they have a big database of geared to providing qualification for, again, students and teachers, things like that. So when we are, because we are also trying to have verifications for the open source program and for the startups program, their system isn't quite as robust to help with that specific type of qualification. So we're doing it in iterations. We're first going to have to do still somewhat of a manual review for open source qualifications only, meaning that people will use ShareID to upload screenshots of things that we need, like publicly visible settings, a link to their OSI approved license, and that'll make it easier for us to scan and be able to then click a button and give them the coupon code. Where we're really going to get the time savings part for the open source program is the provisioning of the licenses, because right now, as Christina mentioned, it's all the manual $0 quote issued, and then you go through the whole sales process. So that's going to be a big benefit already.
I'll just quickly mention, sorry, just really quick, that if you wanted more information, slides 16 and 17 kind of spell out just how manual the process is right now currently, and then what the process is going to look like once we get some automation going in the next couple of releases. So yeah, things are moving and we're really excited about it. So
thank you all. Thank you so much. Moving on, Sid.
Yeah, thanks. Great progress on the forum. Those numbers look amazing. Well done. I think it's really awesome that we're part of Google Summer of Code. I think that's very, very exciting. Thanks for doing that. It's really great. Just an idea. Many commercial open source software companies are switching to non-compete licenses. Recently, that was Elastic. Should we highlight how contributor license agreement enables that, while developer certificate of origin makes that harder? You'd have to like get permission or rewrite the code from people. It's not about throwing shade to other open source companies. I think they're acting in accordance with their fiduciary duty, but I think there's not a lot of knowledge in the open source space, like how this works.
So Sid, you're suggesting that the DCO is an additional or a different kind of protection that is in place for, or is an option for commercial open source companies.
Yeah, when we asked Debian to use GitLab, they were like, hey, if we're going to contribute to this, we want to make sure you never switch the license away from us, and your contributor license agreement makes that possible. So we insist on a DCO, and we changed it to a DCO. And I think they were seeing something that's now playing out, like all these companies changing the licenses. So I think they have that foresight. I just don't think it's common knowledge in the open source industry what that a DCO kind of makes it much harder to relicense open source software.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I seem to remember we did write a little bit about that when we switched to DCO, but I think highlighting that more is a great idea. So we'll take that.
Yeah, I think placing it in context of Mongo and Elastic and everyone else will make it more timely. We could even brief a journalist on it or something.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I recently revived your talk about our business model that you did at I can't remember where you did it, but talking about commercial open source, and this was before Elasticsearch, and so I think it fits really well in with that. And then I think you're right that we could educate the market and media about that too. So I think it's a great idea.
I heard someone speak up.
That was me. Sorry. Yeah, Nuritsi. I found a link. It's on my open source landing page. It was just a write-up from a while ago about that. So just Brendan and others, as we continue to talk about this, we have something to at least refer to.
Yeah, that's a great link. That's great, and I think it's kind of this content combined with, hey, all these companies have relicensed kind of since 2017.
Cool. Thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah, thanks for being open to it and adding to the link. Number 8, people can purchase support at a discount. I wonder what portions of organizations do that, whether it's something we should keep offering or it just complicates things.
Thanks for the question, Sid. So in 2020, we only had 6 total program members access that SKU in our system. That includes EDU and OSS. And the reason, I didn't get to finish typing there, but I'll finish after. But the reason it's really not super attractive for most of our program members is that we require that it's purchased for all of the seats. So for example, we just had a university come in that purchased something like, 20,000 seats. They would have to purchase that. And most of that students, they would have to purchase it for all of the users that are on the license. So we did actually deprecate it with the education PNP. And maybe that's I maybe need to go back and update that slide, but it is still available for OSS. So we're going to kind of watch how OSS moves forward. And on the EDU side, we did launch the GitLab for Campuses enterprise offering. And so what we're hoping to see is that institutions that are really interested in support end up moving towards that model instead, because that provides support as well as unlimited seats for all use cases on campus. So that ends up being a better financial option anyway. If we do keep hearing feedback that institutions want to just purchase support for the teaching, learning, and research side, then we may rethink that.
Cool. That's really cool.
Oh, go ahead. I wanted to jump in with something about OSS.
No, please jump in.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that part of the reason why we haven't seen a lot of open source organizations purchase support, I think, is partly because they're smaller. It's just, a few people for 5, other members or so who can mostly do the work themselves, or if they're larger open source organizations. So far, we've seen a lot of big communities that are technical enough to deal with most of their issues and then just need the occasional visibility on more urgent issues that impact their communities. However, as we start to work with other organizations, especially within the Linux Foundation, those organizations seem to need more support. And so right now we're currently exploring ways to do that with the Linux Foundation itself, so that we can, agree to a way to support other organizations. I put a link to to a project that the Linux Foundation is starting, where they're really trying to create like a set of tools that a lot of member organizations can use. It's called LFX tools. And that's just a possible area where we can start to get GitLab in front of more of those organizations and then agree with the Linux Foundation on how support is managed. So those talks are underway, nothing concrete yet, but that's how we're thinking about support also, in terms of like providing it to a larger organization and they are the front line and then we help some other way. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that we recently started an exception policy, a qualification exception policy for sales. So this is where some companies have open source projects and they are purchasing, they have purchased GitLab for internal work that's proprietary or that they need to keep private, but then they have an open source community and they want to have things purely out in open source. And we've only had about 2 cases of this so far, actually 3 cases, so it's early. But what we've started to explore is allowing them to have an open source license for that work. And we're very strict about it being public, having open source licenses only, et cetera. And they pay for support for that. So in that way, we still have, some money exchanged, but it's not quite as much as they would have to pay for really large amount of seats. So again, under exploration, but kind of the first iteration towards supporting open source companies a bit better, and really hoping to incentivize more people to work towards open sourcing parts of their code.
Awesome, thank you. And I love how all these programs are evolving. They're getting better. I think all the changes are improvements. So keep them going. Great. And I just want to mention Great Deck. I think it has a lot of. It's visually nice. It has a lot of links. It has kind of different formats. It kind of feels enticing. If someone would tweet it, I'd be happy to retweet it. So I think the world might be interested. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sid. And just really quickly to go back to the Google Summer of Code topic, we're not yet part. We're trying to get to be part of the Google Summer of Code. We need the help from everyone here at GitLab. If you have a project or an idea and you would like to mentor a student during the summer, please, there is a link to the repo there. You just open an issue, you just add your project's idea, and then, or your project information, and then we can file our application with Google so we can be part of that. And with that, since there are no more questions or topics or notes or comments, thank you all for coming. It was great. And see you next time. Have a nice day.